When you're adding EQ in Logic, the first step is to select the track that you're going to be using. You can see here that these tracks have been muted. There's a much simpler way of doing this. Select the track you want to work on and click Solo. This can be found here. This will solo the tracks. Now, the EQ window itself can be reached by the side, clicking EQ, or you can go up to your window at the top, Windows, and you can open a track mixer. The track mixer will then display all of the tracks you're working with, all of which have EQ attached to them. So the EQ window here is open for audio track 1, which is a bass guitar. If I press play, we can hear that recording. I've got this looped, so this will continue during the tutorial. The line here is all the frequencies, so we can see from 20 Hz all the way up to 20,000 Hz. We have our bass, we have our low mid, our high mid, and our treble. The scale on the side is our amplitude. These are the decibel levels, plus and minus. These indicate when we are boosting certain frequencies by a certain decibel level, or when we're cutting certain frequencies by a certain level. So anything going above the line is being boosted, anything below. We can use these areas here to control basic amounts. So, for example, if I wanted to boost some bass, I can work in this area here. I'm going to click on the decibels and I'm going to move my mouse up. You can see a curve appearing. And as you listen, you can hear the bass has now been boosted. It's been boosted here by about 20 decibels. This is quite a wide area, so as you can see, it's working mainly at around 80 Hz, but it's also affecting other frequencies here. I can narrow that by going to Q, clicking on Q, and changing the shape of what I'm doing here. This isn't a very good example, so I'm going to find you one in the middle. When working with frequency, it's really important to remember less is sometimes more, and that you can end up adding far too much. Let's work on one in the middle here. So I'm going to have a look at what happens to the middle frequency if I boost them. On a bass guitar, this makes a pretty unpleasant sound, because boosting with treble qualities of that isn't great. So this is something I might end up cutting. So let's cut some out for now. I've cut far too many frequencies here, so let me go back to Q and re-demonstrate. Clicking on Q now, dragging down, you can see it's cutting out a wider range of frequencies. As I drag my mouse up, it's narrowing that. So I can now click on my frequency here and move down, and I can go left and right through my frequency range, and that's cutting out all these frequencies here. I intend to cut around here. I'm also going to boost the bass. Now another thing we can do is we can click on the screen and we can use that. It's far easier though to work from these dials here. So let's boost our bass a little bit again. And there we have some basic EQ. Just to show you what would happen if I did boost these ones here. There's not many treble frequencies in a bass guitar. What I'm mostly picking up is the static and hiss from the room. You might want to cut some of that, and it's all up to you. Anyway, that's a basic guide on EQ and how to use the screen. Final reminder, to hear what it sounds like before you press anything, you can click bypass. There's my original recording. That's with the EQ settings I've put on. If I want to clear this, I can click this small arrow here, click default, it will clear the screen for me.